Hey everyone, today I'm going to work on something that I remember from when I was a kid. They were fairly common. It's called a Hassock fan or a footstool fan, and growing up my grandfather had one in his house, and when he would sit in his chair to watch TV he would put his feet up on this, and in the summer it was great. I mean, it circulated air all around the room and probably kept him cool, because growing up in Massachusetts none of us had air conditioning. So let's take a look at this thing. So this is a Sears brand. Doesn't say Kenmore, it actually says Sears on it. Hassock fan. And you can see, if you can see the blades in there, blades blow the air up and they hit this kind of funnel shaped thing which pushes the air around the room, similar to how a Vornado fan works. So I got this at a yard sale and the guy said it works, and he's like, I'll show it to you, and he plugged it in and it didn't work. And so he was asking $25 for it, but I gave him 20 because it didn't work. I'm not quite sure why. These are pretty simple, but I've never seen one or never taken one apart from this era. This, I would guess, is 1970s, although it could be as late as early 80s. It's interesting, the switch is on top, which is a good place for it to get damaged if you're going to use it as a footstool. But the top is in remarkable condition, so I don't think anyone ever used it as a footstool. But we're going to take it apart, open it up. It's pretty dusty in there. Let's see if we can get it close up. You can kind of see the dust in there. Yeah, there you go. So it needs a clean out regardless. We'll probably add some oil to the motor, and then we'll see how it goes. All right, let's look at how this comes apart. This case is plastic. The ones I've worked on before, many years ago, the cases were metal. But let's take these screws out and see if the case comes apart. Yeah, it looks like that's how you get in there. This is going to be easy to get apart. Upper screws are longer. Either that or this has been taken apart before. Let's see. Huh, the upper screws are longer. Okay, so we have access to it right here. All right, now we get a close-up. Spins freely. Very dusty. I don't see where you oil the motor. This is made in Korea. All right, so that's showing. That's the speed capacitor, I would guess, for the switch. Let's take this. I'm gonna have to take this panel off too. So let's get to that. Well, hopefully this capacitor isn't bad. Got an easy to read part number and everything on it. Well, look at all the wiring. Look at this. It's really unusual to see wire nuts like that, with some exposed wire even in a factory setup. I guess it's possible. I'm not really sure. But Seems loose. All right, I'm gonna take all these panels off because these are pretty dusty. Be easier to clean them off, and also easier to clean the fan and get this out of there. So let me take these others off and I'll be right back. To clean these, I'm just gonna use a nylon brush and the hose. I wonder this white on here, if it's white paint or scratches, but this plastic appears to be colored all the way through. So I wonder if there's a way to get it off. Probably I'll use some plastic polish and that'll get that off. So I'm going to clean the rest of these and then I'll be back. This is a good example of how dusty these things really are inside. They don't get cleaned very often, if at all, before they're retired. Alright, I think this is how you get the metal ring off, which needs to be cleaned as well. Let's pull these off. That slides over. Yeah, that was easy. Okay. Clean the inside. We're gonna have to get at the switch. It looks like there's 4 screws under here, and that's how this top part comes off. I'm suspicious it's the switch, not the capacitor, but I have to test the capacitor. Unless, of course, I get the switch cleaned and it just starts working. But I want to see what kind of switch this really is. Could just be old. I mean, yeah. To me, yeah, 1970s is old, but it's different than 1950s old, because I was around to see this stuff. So this doesn't feel that old to me. Alright, well, there's the switch. Looks like a pretty standard setup. This is dirty inside here too, so we'll clean that. It's harder to get in there, but let's wipe it down. So, in the inside, I'm going to use this foaming glass cleaner. It's pretty quick. And it works better because the dirt and dust and stuff seems to stick to it. All right, so I am going to use contact cleaner on the switch. Not a lot. The CRC electronic cleaner, in the hopes that that'll do it. I mean, the guy thought it worked. He wouldn't have plugged it in if he didn't think it worked, so I think it's pretty simple. I don't see any easy way to get at this switch from here, but let's see if we can just slide this camera in. All right. There's a little bit of leeway access in there through this, but not much. But we'll see. See how it works. Let's work that up. I gotta say, I don't like it. I don't like that switch at all. Let's put this piece back. If I wanted to remove the switch, if I have to, I believe I just take this knob off and this panel off. Let's I don't know if I want to remove the blade because I don't know if it's necessary, because I can dry lube inside the motor easily enough, but let's clean everything under here with this window cleaner. Cleans the majority of the dust out. First spot of rust I've seen right there. Well, that was a little loose. Alright, I'll have to tie that back down. Special tie wrap, which I don't have one of those. But we'll figure it out. Alright, I'm going to spray dry lube in the motor. This is not regular WD-40. This is dry lube. This will clean and at the same time lubricate the motor, but it will dry and won't leave a flammable residue. Alright, so we've checked this, we've cleaned the switch. We've oiled the motor, or lubed it anyway. Doesn't appear to be an easy way to oil it, but if I take this fan blade off, I can very likely just get in there and drop some oil. So let me see about doing that. Appears to be a 7/16. Now, here's the question. Which the blades spin this way. we are opposite threads. Yeah, it's even got some type of sealer there so the nut doesn't come off at the end. They really didn't want this blade spinning off. Room now. I've got enough room to oil it, but I would like to have a little more room. Here we go. Okay, let me get in there, clean that up, and oil that. So for the shaft, I'm simply using 20 weight or 30 weight motor oil. I'm going to clean the shaft up a little bit first. Alright, so to do that, I'm just going to put some oil on the actual shaft in here and let it run down. And that'll add a little bit of motor oil to the bearings, because this motor it has an oiler hole here, but by the 70s I don't know if they were just using this stuff, but I'm gonna try to get some oil to go into the oiler hole as well. Alright, well, that's about all we can do here. Let's put that back down, put our lock washer back on, our nut back on. And the threads are backwards. It's a 7/16, oddly enough. Okay, we're back on, we're cleaned. Gotta find a new way to tie down that capacitor, and I've got to test the capacitor, I think. I'm tempted to plug it in now because we've cleaned everything out. Let's do that. I'm gonna plug it in. Okay, so to do this test, I've got my switch here. It's off. I'm gonna put that there. Okay, is this switch off? I think so. So we're gonna hit this, and it's gonna add power. So let's. Okay, that's fine. Now, what I'm going to do is this is off again. I'm going to put this on at speed. Let's see what it does. All right, ready? Oh, there we go. Oh, it's quiet too. Wow. All the speeds work? Okay, well, it's not the capacitor. So we're just gonna do a little last minute cleanup, tie that capacitor down, and then we're gonna be done. So, what was wrong? I can guess. It could be a multiple of things. My suspicion is that since he said it worked, it did work. And then he left it out in his garage for a while, and either the motor or the switch had a little bit of corrosion on it, and that's it. And that pretty much stopped it from working. I'm going to tie the capacitor right here. This tie wrap's long enough. I do not have the correct type of tie wrap, so I'm just going to do it this way, which should be fine. Let me get a clip. All right, the top didn't really need much cleanup, but the side plastic pieces do. Let's take a look at them. So they've got this white on them, which is really the only flaw. So I'm going to get my bottle of ancient plastic polish, and let's see what we can do. Okay, so I'm going to be using this Novus fine scratch remover for plastics. You recall I cleaned up that plastic bodied Black & Decker 1970s or 80s drill with this. This is very old, but let's see what it does. This is the worst of the 4 panels for the scrap, for the white. I don't think it scratches. I actually think it's paint. If it takes it off. Yeah, it seems to be doing it. Yep, it's doing it. We got a whole pile of scratches right here. There's a big set of them right there. Takes a bit, but it does get them. All right, got another set right here. You do have to work it in, that's for sure. But it does seem to do it. All right, well, that was the worst of them. So, wipe that polish off. Well, it does work though. Look at how nice and shiny that plastic is now. Wow. See, now I'm going to get too involved in it because there's a couple little white spots down here. All right, I'm gonna get the other ones done, and then we'll be back, because I don't think you want to sit through half an hour of me polishing plastic. I'm also doing the top piece. It did not have paint on it, but it did have some fine scratches. Alright, let's take a look at this metal grill. This is the last cosmetic step. It's not very rusty, it's dirty though, but it could benefit from some polish and steel wool, so we're going to do that. For this chrome on this wire guard here, we're just going to use Chemical Guys light metal polish and some very fine steel wool. The chrome isn't bad. It's actually bad on the inside. It's not that bad on the outside. So we'll see how much of this we have to do. Never my favorite step here, but all you do is just rub it on. All right, let's see if you can actually see the difference here. So there's a before from there to there, and there's an after from there to there, and there's a before. So you see this is much brighter. I guess it looks better if I put my hand behind it. So you see there's a lot of corrosion marks, and it's almost yellowed, whereas that's just very bright. And on the inside it's not quite as much of a difference, but it is a difference. This is very rough to the touch, and this is smooth again. So we're lucky that this is nice on the outside. So I'm gonna do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 more sections, and then we'll be back. Okay, we're all polished. It looks good. Let's put this back together. Sits a little bit better. Okay, now we've got our panels. What do I do with them all? Longer screw one in the top. Interesting, there's no washers on these either. Alright, now I'm going to snug them up a little bit more. good. Clean the top a little bit. We're ready to go. Actually, it looks really good. Plastic came out really shiny. The chrome looks good. Sears, I didn't happen to notice a model number on this thing somewhere, but I'll have to look to see if I can find it. Awesome. Let's give it one last run before it moves inside, of course, because this is actually going into service. I will be using this in my living room. A little wax on there. For reference, it puts out a lot of air. It pulls in and puts out. So it's pulling in down here, pushing out up there. Interesting. That's how they work. All 3 speeds, good. Ready to go. All right, that's it. Yeah, pretty easy job. Sometimes you get lucky. In this case, I did. But, you know, he said it worked, and then when he plugged it in and it didn't work, and he flicked the switch a few times, it looked like it worked. So what I would say is, if you leave appliances that are meant to be in your home out in your garage for a year or two in Florida, things corrode in there, and that's probably all it was. I mean, I'm actually pretty sure that is all it was. So if you like this type of content, don't forget to like and subscribe and hit the notification bell. That helps the channel, helps me. And, you know, if you find something like this, these are pretty useful fans. They really work well. And in it, we're heading into summer here. And when you have air conditioning on, your house is cool and all that. But what will really work is a combination of air conditioning and air circulation. These types of fans, you don't feel it necessarily blowing right on your face or anything like that, like the old desktop table fans. But you will get a breeze, which will make the air conditioning in your home feel noticeably cooler. So these are pretty good. Vornado still makes a type of air circulator fan. They even make it in a retro style, and I actually have one, and they work really well. So that's another option if you don't want to find an old one. But these are good fans. So hey, if you come across one, you can clean it up, you can get it working, don't be intimidated. I just showed you how to do it. All you got to do is go out, get busy. Take care.